afternoon. So hi, everyone. We probably will get some more folks here in a little while, but we just wanted to get started because we kind of have a packed hour ahead of us. So thank you all for attending today's CFE community chat. We didn't know what to expect when we first created this initiative back last April, but it's been incredibly enjoyable for Kayla and myself and our whole team to develop. And it's also been pretty well received by our educator community. So today's chat is our 18th since we've kicked off last April, and we're thrilled to have Nearpod here with us. For those of you who are new to CFE, I'm Sarah Hoppy Knight, the co-executive director of the Chicago Foundation for Education. We're a Chicago-based education nonprofit. We've been around for 37 years, supporting and funding CFE, CPS educators so they can best serve their students and grow in their profession. We've been awarding grants and fellowships and offering professional growth opportunities to CPS pre-K through 12th grade educators consistently over that period, that almost 4 decades, which is wild. So anyway, we know how incredibly exhausted you must be at the end of each day, especially now. It's continuing to be such a challenging and tumultuous period for our Chicago educators. Hopefully with vaccines coming out and some other things happening, we're starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel. But we are so grateful for you being here and that you chose to spend some time with us today. So quick couple notes before we get started. I know all of you are very familiar with Zoom and Google Meet and all that sort of thing, but just keep your microphones muted if you can, if you're not speaking. If you have any questions during the presentation, definitely just pop them right into the chat box. So Katie is here, just gave us a wave. She'll be monitoring the chat box. And so if you have any questions, pop them in there and she'll go ahead and make sure that those are addressed. Also, the session is, you might have already noticed, but the session's being recorded this afternoon. The recording will be posted along with the PowerPoint and any associated resources on our website within a few days. And then also keep an eye out in the chat box for some helpful messages from Kayla and myself throughout the course of the session. So let's get into it. So our primary presenter today is Quinae Jackson. She's worked in education for 10 years and is currently the East Coast brand ambassador for Nearpod. She's passionate about sharing ways for educators to maximize instructional technology and facilitate learning environments that promote discourse and collaboration. She aspires to transform the face of education for students and educators all across the country. Quinae believes that by beginning with the end in mind, teachers, students, and all stakeholders will strive for and often exceed expectations, which I think is lovely. So joining Quinae today is her colleague, Katie. Katie's the CPS Partnership Manager. And again, she'll be addressing any questions posted in the chat box during today's session. So with that, I will turn it over to Quinae. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah. I really appreciate that. And I am so excited to be here. I love teachers. I love teaching. I miss the classroom so much. So these opportunities are like my chance to get that feeling, you know, that we all feel when we stand in front of a class and we can just share something. And that's what I get to feel. So thank you all so much for being here. I know it's been a long day. I like to start these sessions, especially at this time of day, just with a moment for you to breathe. So I'm going to take a moment and I want you to take a moment with me and breathe in and release it. That was always important for me as I was an instructional coach, professional development specialist. No one can learn if they're all tense. So we have to start with a moment for you to just relax, relate, and release. My name, as she mentioned, is Quinae Jackson. I just dropped a link in the chat. I don't want you to think you're experiencing double vision, but I am sharing 2 different screens. The reason that I do that is because I believe in maximizing your time. As teachers, whenever I would start my sessions, I would say, what is it that you need from me? And I would have to preface that with saying, I don't have any additional money to give you, and I can't give you more time. But what I can do is maximize the time we have together. And that's why I share these two screens. On the left side, what you're going to see is what a teacher sees when they launch a Nearpod lesson. And on the right-hand side is what you're going to see when a student joins. So I always say the best way to experience Nearpod is to jump right in. So you can click that link that I shared. But in case you can't or don't have the space to do that, you can still see the experience because I'm sharing both of them on my screen here. We are going to get started. And the first thing that I would like to do is just to sort of get an idea of what you know about Nearpod. I think it's very important to meet people where they are. I don't want to go too fast. I don't want to go too slow. But my main goal here is to let you leave ready to use Nearpod in your classroom tomorrow. And so again, if you click that link, Katie, if you'll drop it again for me. And you can join. And what you'll see here, this is actually our poll feature. I love using the poll feature because it gives teachers a low stakes way to check the temperature of the classroom. Imagine using this to review a concept that you covered on yesterday. Imagine using this for your grouping. I taught elementary school for about 4 years. And so I would get real creative with my grouping. You know, I would say peanut butter jelly, you know, to get the students paired off. With Nearpod, using the poll, you don't have to do that. You can do meaningful groups. You can say, here are the topics that we're going to cover, and students can choose which topic they like, and then you can group them in that way. So it gives you a way to be more intentional with what you're doing. One thing that we know with hybrid learning, and when we have to switch to virtual learning, and when ultimately it's in-person learning, those in-person moments are going to become critically important. So we want to maximize all of those moments that we have. I see we have about 7 people in the lesson. I'm just talking just to give you a chance just to get in there because I don't want to get started without you. So I'll give you one more minute to jump in there. I see most of us, we're out. Listen, this never happens, okay? We are all on the same page. Everyone says, I have heard of Nearpod, but I'm no pro. So good. That lets me know where we need to start. One thing you'll notice also with the poll is that you can share out this data. So this is a really cool way to put the data right in the hands of the students. And when I say hands, I don't mean literally their hands, right? Because we're still socially distancing. We're still wanting to maintain, you know, our safety and make sure everyone is safe. But we still want students to have the opportunity to participate, to collaborate with each other. And so this is a great way that they can do that by sharing this data. This is really cool. I should have taken a screenshot because this has never happened in all of my times of doing this where everyone is on the same page. So I love this group already. So I'm glad you all have heard of Nearpod. She's already done a wonderful introduction, much better than I could have done. So I'm going to skip that slide. Here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about how Nearpod is the center of instruction. As I mentioned before, we want to help you to maximize your time. We want to show you how Nearpod is an essential engagement tool for hybrid learning, which is the situation that most teachers find themselves in, having to teach a group of students sitting in front of them and a group of students who are still at home learning. And again, I want you to leave ready to Nearpodize for tomorrow. When you think about all of the different things that you're doing in your classrooms, it's kind of like you're juggling a whole lot of things. And for all of those things that you're juggling, right, when this pandemic first hit, all of the different companies were offering teachers free access to use the programs. And every teacher that I know signed up for everything. And I had to sort of get with my teachers, excuse me, and I had to say to them, listen, we can't do everything. We're going to focus and we're going to become a master of one or a few things. Because what began to happen is what I have coined as Tabapalooza, right? Teachers would have 10, 20 tabs open, 7, 8, 10 different programs. And you're sending students to this link here and this link there. And it's just extremely frustrating, not just for the teacher, but also for the student having to do all of that moving around. And what Nearpod really does is it offers you a one-stop shop for all of those things that you're looking to do. So if you're looking for interactive videos, you can do that in Nearpod. If you're looking for digital content, there are over 15,000 pedagogically sound lessons in our lesson library. If you're looking for formative assessment, we've got our quiz, we've got our poll, we've got Collaborate board, we've got Draw It. If you're looking for interactive lessons, that's what Nearpod is. You'll notice when I'm moving my screen, your screen is moving. We also offer an opportunity for independent work through our student-paced codes. So what Nearpod really does is to streamline all of those solutions and give you what you need. So I want you to take a moment just to think about some of the things that you are doing in your classroom. I'm a former teacher, I'm a former social studies teacher, so shout out to any social studies teachers who are here. That's my hard work. I would wake up and teach social studies for free for the rest of my life. But one of the things that I noticed when I was in the classroom, I had a lot of different groups in my room, and I had to figure out ways to meet all of their needs. And Nearpod is a tool that I used as a classroom teacher to help me build that differentiation in from the beginning, right? Because again, when we talk about maximizing time, I don't want to have to wait to the end and then figure out what to do. I want to begin with the end in mind. I want to differentiate from the very beginning and figure out what that learning looks like. So when you're thinking about formative assessment, you're thinking about critical thinking, reflection, when you're thinking about giving students the opportunity to explore, my math and science teachers, you'll love, we have a FET integration where students can do those labs hands-on. When you're thinking about learning stations and differentiation, I want to show you an example of a choice board, collaboration, creativity. All of those things are built right into the Nearpod platform. Not to mention, we listen to what teachers are saying. So there's a lot of area for feedback. One of the things teachers kept saying, we need to be able to add a co-teacher to our lessons. You can add a co-teacher in a Nearpod lesson. When you click on this box and you're sharing that code, you'll see right down here, you can click the co-teacher link on, you can copy it, and you could share this link with your co-teacher in advance, right? That's what I would do because I just like to work smart and not hard. So if I need to share it with my co-teacher, I'm gonna go ahead and send it to you every lesson for the rest of the week. So we're good to go. But oftentimes as teachers, we have people who are coming into our classroom, they're observing us, a coach, an administrator, and they want to see what's going on, or they'll say they don't see something going on. One way you can ensure that they see everything that's going on is to add them as a co-teacher in real time. So right down here at the bottom, if you see this group of people, the little green icons, when I click on it, I can scroll down, I can find whoever is in my lesson, and I can click that drop down next to their name. And as you can see, I can add a co-teacher. There we go. I can click make co-teacher, and then that person can see all of that formative assessment data happening in real time. So this is just a way that Nearpod really is responsive to the needs of teachers. Most of you said you know what Nearpod is. So I just want to point out here that one of my favorite aspects of Nearpod is that teachers are able to inform in the moment decisions. Okay, as a teacher, I remember when I would have an exit ticket or an activity, 1, we had to hand it out. 2, the students had to do it. 3, we had to collect it. Then I had to go sit down, go through it. I had to look at the trends. And it might have been 2 or 3 days later when I actually can address whatever misconceptions showed up in whatever I collected. But with Nearpod and with our formative assessment activities, you're getting that data back in real time, so you can make those instructional decisions in the moment, not having to wait so that those misconceptions get solidified in students' brains. So then you have to unteach, then reteach, right? But what it does is give you that opportunity to unlock student understanding in real time. And that's why we say Nearpod really becomes the center of instruction, because it bridges that gap. One thing I also love is that you don't have to start from scratch. You can take your PowerPoints, you can take your Google Slides, your PDFs, your instructional videos that you created, your YouTube videos that you love, and you can take all of those things, you can make them interactive and put them in the Nearpod platform. Now we're about to experience Nearpod, but before we jump in there were a few questions that came up that when you all registered that I wanted to be sure that I addressed. So let me pull those questions up so that I can answer them, because I don't want you to know, sometimes you're like, is she going to get to my question? Yes, I promise I'm going to answer your question. So one question came through about Google Jamboard and how you can put it into Nearpod to make a copy for each student. That is actually a function that is going to happen through Google Classroom. So you have to put that Google Jamboard in Google Classroom and select that option to make a copy for each student. The next question is about Eureka videos. If I'm not mistaken, Eureka is a platform that you log into to access their materials. Anything that you're having to log into to access their materials is going to be basically copyrighted. So when you put that URL in Nearpod, what's going to happen is it's going to take you to that sign-in page, or it'll take students to that sign-in page. And so unless you can download that video from Eureka and then upload it to your Google Drive, if you can download it, you can upload it to your Google Drive and get a URL and use that URL. Or you can try to find a similar video on YouTube or another source that you don't have to log into to view it. A no time pressure, time to climb activity. There is Time to Climb is our gamified activity, but we also have matching pairs. We have Draw It, we have Collaborate, we have I'm sorry, we have, let me pull up the form so that you can see. We have Time to Climb, fill in the blank. We have the memory test. That's what I was trying to remember, the memory test, which is a game-like activity. But also keep in mind with Time to Climb, you can make it as long as you want. So it doesn't have to be a 30-second. You could put 5 minutes on that particular question that you're looking, to give students some more time to answer. And then some ways to create engaging interactive game style lessons for students. That's what we're about to do. I'm going to show you some great ideas that you can use in your classroom tomorrow with Nearpod. So those were the questions that came in. I want you to know that when you're using lessons from Nearpod, again, they're created in partnership with partners that you can trust. Okay, so it's not a community bank where you don't know where these lessons are coming from. These 15,000 lessons are pedagogically sound. So let's talk about how Nearpod is the bridge for hybrid learning. And again, what we're about to do are some practical things. So I know this question always comes, how do I get a copy of this presentation? I am so glad you asked. You do not have to wait till tomorrow or this evening. Anytime you launch a Nearpod lesson, anyone who is logged into your lesson can get their own copy of that lesson. So let me show you how. Again, remember over here on my screen, on the left, I'm sharing the teacher view. On the right, I'm sharing the student view. So everyone who is logged in should, on your student view, see this piece of paper and this pencil. You can give me a little thumbs up if you're good. I don't want to leave you behind. All right. So if you click that paper and that pencil, you're going to get 3 options to save this presentation. You can send it via email, you can send it to Google Drive, or you can save it to OneDrive. I like Google, so I'm going to choose Save to Google Drive. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save to Google Drive. It's going to ask me which one of my Google accounts I want to save it to. And since I'm the Nearpod girl, I'm going to choose my Nearpod account. This message is going to come up, and this message is basically saying, do you want Nearpod and Google to talk? The answer is yes, because I wanted to save a copy of this to my Google Drive. I'm going to go ahead and click Allow. Once I click Allow, I type any note here, okay? Any note, I type anything, and it's going to save a copy of this presentation, the entire presentation, every slide, to my Google Drive as a Word document, okay? So now you know how to get your own copy of this presentation. Everybody, you got your copy? You good? Y'all got it? All right, so let's talk about how Nearpod is the bridge for hybrid learning. It is going to connect teachers and students. One thing that we found to be very difficult is building those relationships. As teachers, we really thrive off of that. That's how you set up your classroom environment, is your relationships that you have with your students. And that can be difficult when you are disconnected, or when half of your class is at home and half of your class is in front of you. So Nearpod helps teachers to make that connection. We prioritize SEL. I'm going to show you some examples of some SEL lessons you can use in class tomorrow. It helps you, as I mentioned before, to address those learning misconceptions right in the moment. And if I have any decision makers here, or if you're, trying to convince whomever is in your building that you want Nearpod, one of the really cool things, as we talked about a little earlier, is that it's going to maximize your technology investment. You don't need multiple subscriptions. You don't need a subscription for an interactive video platform and a gamified platform. Nearpod has all of that. And it helps you to adapt, right? Who knows, in the moment, we may be back in virtual learning. In the moment, we may be all back in the physical classroom. When we're using Nearpod as our instructional planning platform, it helps you to be extremely flexible. There's not a lot of extra steps that you have to take to make sure that you have what you need for your instruction. So let's do some examples. Y'all ready to jump in and talk about some examples? This is a slide that you can just put a note on that you can come back to look at. These are just, it's just basically summarizing all of those points that I just gave you on one slide. I like to give people tangible things that they can use. So if you need to go talk to someone about this, or if you're trying to figure out how can I maximize the use of Nearpod in my classroom, this is going to give you all of those considerations that we just discussed. And then this slide is giving you a snapshot of the 20 plus ways that you can tier instruction and promote student voice and choice in your classroom. I want to show you a cool tool that Nearpod has as we're jumping right in. This is our live annotation tool. So when I click anywhere, I might have done that too fast. Anywhere you see this little blue circle and this white pencil, you can annotate live on the slide, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And you'll see this little frame will open. I can choose a color, I can highlight, I can choose a text box. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose a color. And so I can come here and say, today we're gonna experience a Collaborate board. We're gonna experience a VR field trip. We're gonna experience a matching pairs activity. We're gonna experience an open-ended question, okay? And you can see in real time, over there on the right-hand side, it's showing up on the student screen. So again, in hybrid learning, this is a way for you to bridge that gap. If you were just doing this on the whiteboard in your classroom, it would be difficult for those students joining you virtually to really see this or to really engage with it. But when you do it here, it gives all students access to a simultaneous learning experience. Not only do we have the live annotation tool, we also have the open whiteboard. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I'm going to click up here where it says open whiteboard. And here, this is your blank slate. This is where you can maximize your direct instruction. Okay. So let me go to the chat. What is someone teaching? Tell me, what are you teaching? Any particular subjects represented here today? I hope please don't do 12th grade math. I am not equipped to model 12th grade math or science, but someone can tell me what you're teaching. I'm gonna put myself out on the limb here. Okay, I can do that, Monica, author's purpose, right? So in the elementary school, when they teach author's purpose, this is how they teach it. Oh, Danielle, you trying to trip me up with that multiplication. But on the elementary school, when they teach author's purpose, and I taught elementary school a long time ago, but we would do something like this. And we would say an author writes for 3 different reasons. And I could model here. And you can see over there on the right-hand side, it's showing up: to persuade, to inform, or to entertain, right? So I'm giving students something tangible to connect with that learning. I'm modeling in real time, reaching both groups of my students. Danielle, this one is for you. I used to love to teach my students this trick. I could do my 9 tables. This one was real easy for me. I would show them the little trick, by counting up and counting down. You go 9, 8, 7, 6. Y'all know about that trick: 5, 4, 3. And then you count up over here. So 1, 2, go down like that. But yeah, that's the trick for multiplying in 9s. But that is the open whiteboard and the closed whiteboard. And please, the open whiteboard and the live annotation tool. And please don't judge my writing. I was a bad 3rd grade student. I didn't pay too much attention when they taught me how to hold my pen the correct way. But those are just some tools for hybrid learning. Not only do you have that whiteboard and the annotation tool, but remember I talked to you about addressing those learning needs in the moment. you can add an activity. So I know we have the best intentions when we begin. And I know sometimes as a teacher, I would think I was doing an amazing lesson and I had it all planned out. And I would look out there at that sea of faces and they were just as confused as they could be. So I needed to make a in the moment switch. Okay. I can come right here, click add activity. I can add a website, an open-ended question, a draw it, a slide, or a true false to capture those learning moments that were not a part of my original learning plan. So again, those are some ways you can address those learning decisions. And then what is beautiful, you're getting this data in real time. You get this data at the end of your lesson because you get a report. But teachers love this new release, which is that on our web-based report, you can now see the IP address, because sometimes our beautiful children will come in and maybe put something that is not most appropriate in the lesson. And teachers would have a difficult time trying to figure out who is doing this because they would put names that weren't really their names. But now with the IP address, you can track down any of those things to add another level of safety and security to your lessons. So let's experience some magic. Y'all ready for some magic? So this first activity is one that you can use to connect with your students. And this is our Collaborate board. With the Collaborate board, another level of safety and security, the teacher can moderate those responses coming in, or they can choose to just let the responses come up. I believe you all are going to be most appropriate. So I'm going to go ahead and click no. This question says, why I love teaching. What are some things you love most about teaching? What you're going to see with the Collaborate board is that students can not only respond using words, but they can also respond using images, which is giving all students a way to access learning. What I also love about this Collaborate board, when you think about the regular classroom and everyone can see everyone, your reluctant learners, they're a little, they may not want to participate because they don't want, all the light on them. But as you can see over here with the Collaborate board, there are no names on the student side over here. There are no names coming up over here. It is just everyone seeing what everyone is thinking. And this builds community because students can like each other's posts. Okay, so this is a great way for you to incorporate that community in your classroom with your students. Okay. Any questions thus far about the Collaborate board? That's just one thing. We're about to do something else that I know you all will love. We're going to move forward. It fills your spirit. Oh, I love that. It does. It really does fill your spirit. I love that. So we're going to move forward in 3, 2, 1. This is our open-ended question. Now, let me tell you why open-ended question really speaks to my teacher heart. I was a great teacher, but one thing that I did not do well was grading. It just, every Sunday evening, I would be sitting there with a huge stack of papers. I wasn't good at it. Open-ended question allows students to actually record their responses. I could listen to my students talk all day because I like to talk too. So that wouldn't be a problem. But it was something about having to sit there with that stack of papers or go through the writing. It just did not work for me. But with open-ended questions, students can actually record their responses. Not only can students record their responses, but Nearpod has Immersive Reader built right in. Immersive Reader will read and translate to students in over 40 different languages. Any slide on the student side where you see this book and this megaphone, the Immersive Reader is available. Okay, so when you click on that Immersive Reader, the first thing you'll see are the words in English. It will read in English, so let's listen.
Based on our discussion, what is your final conclusion about the
But if I click this book, someone tell me in the chat, what's a common language that is a second language that's spoken in your school district? Any comment?
Spanish.
Spanish. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down to Spanish and look right here. I'm going to click document, and there we are. It is translated, and listen.
Basándonos en nuestra discusión, ¿cuál es su conclusión final sobre?
Every student, so you could have students speaking multiple languages in your class, and everyone can still access the learning, which is a really cool feature because it can be difficult. I was telling Sarah when I first came in as a teacher, I had classes sometimes where I had students who were English learners, I had students who had special needs, I had students who were gifted, and students who were just, tier 1 students, all in the same classroom for the same period, because I taught social studies. So, they weren't sending a co-teacher to a social studies classroom, and I had to figure out how to get what my students needed to them and reach all of them. And Nearpod was really that tool that I used to make sure everyone could access the learning. But not only does the immersive reader translate the words and read to them in those 40 different languages, it also helps to concrete their understanding. So when they come to words, they can click on them, they can hear that word. They can also get references so that they can scaffold that learning where they have a reference image and they can listen to that word being read. But then there are also some accessibility features built right into this immersive reader. They can make the text size larger, smaller, change the background. My lower elementary teachers probably still teaching grammar. You can identify those nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, all of those things. And listen, it's right in the Nearpod platform. We haven't left. It's all right here. So I want you to think about, why would this type of question, because this is a chat, so I want y'all to talk to me. I want to just do all the talking based on this what we've talked about, this open-ended question. Why would this type of question be better digitally than verbally with the group? What are some examples of how you could phrase this type of strategy with your learners? So you can record your audio or you can type your answer right in that box. And I want to show you all that as you begin to answer again in real time, you can track this participation. So I'll go ahead and answer. And you'll see that participation rate begins to go up as people begin to answer. You'll see that over here, looking at that participation rate, and as more people answer, it will go up. So that is a really cool feature of that open-ended question. Monica says it gives the students time to think about responses. They can edit. Yes, they do have that option. Thank you, Monica, for pointing that out. They can edit their answers. So it's really low stakes, right? It could double as a summative assessment. Absolutely. And you can see out here that participation rate is going up. So we're going to move forward. Let's talk about SEL. That's education is all about, I call it alphabet soup. There's always an acronym, a new acronym somewhere for something. And right now the acronym is SEL, right? Good teachers have been doing SEL for a long time. Right now, many districts are prioritizing it. And so they're wanting to see that tangible evidence of how you're incorporating it. Nearpod supports you in that because there are lessons that are already created that you can use to implement SEL in meaningful ways, to elevate student voices, to give them tools to support goal setting, increase their confidence, and all of those different tenets of social emotional learning. This is a lesson from our SEL premium collection, and it's a gratitude jar. And it helps students learn how to identify their emotions. And it uses our Draw It activity. I love Draw It because Draw It allows you to get 100% student participation to see what every student is doing in real time. So this question tasks students to draw or write something that they're thankful for. You'll notice that Immersive Reader is available here as well. So it's not just like on one slide that you have that feature. It's available on most of those slides. And again, here you can draw, you can put images. I'll go ahead and answer. I'm going to say I'm thankful for my family. Okay, and then you can submit it. What you'll notice over here, if it's yellow, that means the student is in progress. Okay, they're working on it. If it's green, that means they turned it in. And if it's black, that means the student has not yet started. So again, it's giving you as the teacher a way to track their participation, to, use those teachers. You may have to go stand a little closer to another student to encourage them, to get started or whatever the case may be. But it really gives you that ability to see everyone's response, not just that one student who is eager to participate. Now, I will tell you a pro tip when you're doing Draw It or any of these activities, really, you've got to give your students a countdown, because if not, you will begin to hear this big eruption of Miss Jackson or whomever, okay, I'm not ready yet. Go back. I wasn't finished. So you always want to give them a countdown. Okay, Cheryl, I see we have an artiste in the house. I love it. All right, so we're gonna move forward. Oh, Danielle, I love horses. I am kind of obsessed with the horses on the Outer Bank Islands of North Carolina, but I'm very afraid of animals, so I don't want to actually go, but I'm a historian, so I've done all the reading and know all the history and could have a 10-hour conversation about them. So I love your answer. Horses, I love them. All right, we're going to move forward in 3, 2, 1. So that is an example of an SEL activity. I wanted to show you some ways you can maximize your instructional planning. This is one feature that teachers love, which is our interactive video. We have a bank of over 5,000 videos that come already pre-built with those questions inside of them. But you also can go to grab your YouTube video that you've been using that you know is a very good video and embed some formative assessment questions in there. In my classroom, my students weren't going for a YouTube video. They wanted to see my face and hear my voice. So I would actually have to record my own self, doing the videos. I could take one of those videos that I created, upload it into Nearpod and embed those formative assessment checkpoints right in that instructional video that I created. They were spoiled, kind of like my daughter. She's 5 and she thinks that I'm supposed to do everything she wants as well. And that's how my students behave, because I treated them like they were my students. I mean, like they were my children. And I know that you all can relate because that's what teachers do. So it really gives you that opportunity to make learning personal and to really make students fall back in love with learning. So many students over this past year in virtual learning, they have tapped out. They don't like learning. They don't like school. But when you can incorporate those personalized moments, like instead of a YouTube video, you recording it and putting it here, it gives them that connection so that they can fall back in love with learning. Because they have to love learning or like the world doesn't go on, because without learned people, what happens, right? We all need to learn and grow. So that's just my own personal opinion that Nearpod really does support you in making and building those connections with those little things that you can do to personalize the learning for our students in your classroom. So that is our interactive video. And I know y'all want to experience, right? You heard me talking about it, but you want to experience it, don't you? You want to see what it's all about. I will show you what it's all about. Here we go. So with the interactive video, you're going to get a couple of options. You can decide to play this video as a whole group for your students, and then they answer the questions independently on their own. Or you can allow students to play the video and answer the questions at their own pace. It, again, depends on how you've designed that instructional experience. For our purpose today, I'm going to hit Teacher Plays and hit Continue. On the student screen, what you'll see is it says Eyes Up Front. So I'm going to come right here and hit Play.
Today, we're going to talk about author's purpose in just a minute.
Somebody read my mind earlier because they talked about author's purpose and they didn't even know I had this video in here. But now what you're going to see is I've built in a pre-assessment question. So over here on the student side, it says, what do you already know about author's purpose? So as a teacher, I'm getting an idea of what students know. So I can see if this video, I may think it's a good video, but if their understanding doesn't shift when I ask them another question at the end, maybe it's not as good as I thought. So this is a way to do a pre-assessment when you are introducing a video in your classroom. And again, you can watch that participation rate go. You can also embed not only open-ended questions, but multiple choice questions. And you can see here, again, that participation rate shifts as people begin to answer. I'm going to help you. Okay, Michelle? One thing you also can do that people always wonder, well, how are the students, they're going to see all of the answers? You can hit collapse and it'll just show a snippet of that video right there. We talked about that flexibility. Someone asked, one of the questions was about how can I do gamified activities? This is an example of something prior, you might have cut out these pieces, laminated them, given them to students to sort of manipulate at their desk. But now, we're socially distancing and you have some students at home, some in the classroom. This really gives you a way to ensure that everyone gets access to all of the rigorous learning materials that you're providing. So this is our matching pairs activity. And basically the students can click on it. It's a fun game. They click on it. If it's correct, it'll be green. If it's incorrect, it'll turn, I'm trying to get a wrong answer. There we go. If it's incorrect, it'll turn red. The teacher can see the tries. All right, Cheryl, she got a 100 first time out the gate. Good job. And you can monitor it. You can, have that level of competition. It's kind of low stakes. It's not timed. We have another game, which is our time to climb activity. That is a game that's going to measure both speed and accuracy. So that's our matching pairs. Let's move forward. This often gets overlooked, but for hybrid learning, it is such an amazing tool. These are our Nearpod 3D objects. If you're in the classroom, you might have a globe that the students are playing with, or you might have, a model that you're demonstrating that you sort of pass around. My teachers would pass around models and different stuff, but in a hybrid learning situation, that's not ideal. But you can use these Nearpod 3D objects as hooks to your lessons. There are many different ones. This is just one that I chose. I would use this one in particular to have the students, find what region we were studying last unit and what region are we going to today. Even though I know this is actually for a science class, I'm saying that to say that you can use them for many different reasons and in many different ways. And so these are our Nearpod 3D objects. They've got animals, they've got shapes. Math and science teachers, this is a great way for you to have students to analyze objects that perhaps before would have just been flat, like looking at it on a piece of paper, like a pyramid. But if you put the pyramid in, they can look at all sides of it to look at area and all of those things. And this one you're gonna love. First, I'm just gonna let you look at it and look around and see if it looks kind of familiar to anyone. Anybody know where we are? Does it look familiar? Let me see, Katie, let me come to the chat. Are they saying where it is?
United Center, Chicago.
Yes, absolutely. Right, and so these are our VR field trips. This is a really great way to build connection. Whoever answered that, I heard that excitement in your voice, right? That is what happens when you do this in your classroom with your students as well, because everyone wants to feel connection, right? And imagine not just doing this, I chose this place because I knew we were going to be in Chicago, but imagine doing this, my ELA teachers, when you're getting ready to introduce a novel. Imagine doing this for my social studies teachers when you're going to go visit a certain region. I even would use these VR trips, like I did that breathing moment with us at the beginning. Sometimes I would pull up a picture of a waterfall or a beach and have teachers just to use that to sort of decompress. So there's so many different uses for these VR trips, but it gives students the opportunity to become the protagonists of their own learning journeys, which is why I really love these VR trips. My math and science teachers, I know you will love this. We have an integration with PhET simulations. So labs don't have to go on the back shelf in hybrid learning. You can do your labs right in the Nearpod lesson. But this is what I know. I did not teach science, but my science team teacher would be on the phone with me late at night at Walmart, picking up supplies for the lab she needed to do in class tomorrow, because teachers, we're going to do what we need to do to make sure our students have the experience. With these PhET simulations, every student gets all of the materials and resources. You don't have to, partner them up. If the lab calls for 4 students, but you really have 8 in there because you couldn't afford to buy all the things for so many groups. With the PhET simulation, every student gets the opportunity to experience the lab. So here you can choose your charts. You take your little skateboarder, you can drop them down and they can look at what's happening with the exchanges between kinetic, potential thermal energy. You can increase the mass and see how that impacts it, the friction. You can change that slope, all of these different things. And again, every student is getting the opportunity to participate in the lab. Now, I want you all to have a little fun. We're going to play our time to climb. everyone loves Time to Climb. This is our gamified activity, and it gives students the opportunity to compete with each other, where there is this level of racing, right? They're racing to the top of a mountain, but it's not only accuracy, but also speed. So I'm going to go ahead and choose underwater. There is music. I'm going to turn the music off for our purposes this evening, because I'm going to be talking and I want y'all to listen to me, not the music. Okay. So I'm going to turn the music off, but there is music that you can turn on, and the kids love the music. So I'll hit continue. And what happens is you choose an avatar. There's several different ones you could choose from. You choose the avatar, you hit start. And as people begin to join the lesson, you see it's shifting over there. And I'm going to go ahead and hit start. And what I love about Time to Climb, again, there are accessibility features built right in. So not only can teachers use words for accessibility, they can also use images, and you'll see that in just a moment. So this is where I've used words as an option to answer the question. You can put a timer on there. You can adjust the time, okay, that the students have to answer those questions. And here you can see you also can build in those reference images, which are critically important for students. All right, Cheryl, she's in the lead at number 1. Let me get on the board. I don't want to be last. Let me at least answer one question. All right, Cheryl, Michelle is at number 2. And Kathy is at number 3. And then here you can see the images being used to where students can answer that particular question. And what I love about this game is that at the end, you're going to have a leaderboard. They'll hand out trophies, and it really is a place of bragging rights that students get from this. So shout out to everyone who participated. Cheryl is number 1. Go Cheryl, go Cheryl. Michelle came in at number 2 and Kathy at number 3. So congratulations. So again, I just wanted to cover some different ways that you can use Nearpod to really address learning needs in your classrooms. This is another activity, and I've put a timer on this one, which is a great tool for hybrid learning, because it can be difficult to keep the time going, right? Because you have 2 different groups of students working. If you turn on the timer in the classroom, the students who are at home learning can't see it, but you can build a timer right into all of these activities in Nearpod. So I'm going to hit start activity. And I want to know, have you identified some ways you can use Nearpod in person and for hybrid learning or for virtual learning? Have you identified some ways? And as you can see, I've also built in that reference image at the top. All right, I see most of us are saying yes. You have at least 2. Awesome. So you can nearpodize in your classroom tomorrow. I like to use that as a verb. Got about 2 more seconds. Awesome. I always like for these sessions to be meaningful. I want you to walk away with something you can do in class tomorrow. So I'm glad that most of you have at least 1 thing, many of you 2 things you can use. Here's an example of a choice board. What I've done with this choice board is to include student-paced lessons that students can access on their own. So I can transition from a live lesson right into a student-paced lesson. So depending upon where students are, if we have tier 1, 2, and 3 students, they would know where to come. They can click here and it'll take them to a student-paced lesson that I've already created and curated just for them to be working in. And they can move in that way. So it's a great tool for hybrid learning when you get ready to go into groups, being intentional about that planning. The next 2 slides that are here, I wanted to make sure we leave some time for any questions. The next 2 slides that are here, again, are an overview of some of the things that I've talked about, giving you some ideas of ways you can use Nearpod for hybrid learning in your classroom. And so that's what those 2 slides are that you're looking at looking at right there. Again, hopefully everyone had the opportunity to get a copy of this by clicking on that notebook. And so now it's time for your questions. I want to know, what ideas do you have for using Nearpod for in-person learning, using it for hybrid learning? What questions do you have? What did you like the best? What did you see that was like, whoa, mind blowing? So the floor is yours, and I'll go to the chat to see if there's anything I need to answer out loud. Any questions? And you feel free to, if you would like to, take your microphone off mute and ask a question. We have about 9 minutes.
I have a question.
Okay.
That choice board you just showed, I want to know how I can find it. I mean, I find what is problematic for me with Nearpod is that there are so many choices, and I'm not sure how each choice works. So it just takes a lot of exposure to finally see what would be the toolbox that I would need for any specific thing. So I just saw the choice board, and that's one of the reasons why I don't like Nearpod so much, because I think I have to have all the slides generated, and it's just like Google Slides with a little bit of better delivery options. But I can see with this choice board, that's what I want. Sometimes I just want it to be a little bit, and then I want to move them to a student paced whatever. That would be really useful. Now, how do I find this choice board? How did you create it? Or is there one that's a template that I can use? Or how does this work?
Great questions. I made this choice board. It was very simple. And I'm happy to share that slide with you as a template for you to use. But basically what I did was just to go here to my Google Drive, and I opened up a slide. And all I did here, I just colored the background of that slide.
Yeah.
I didn't even, yes, I colored the background, and these are just boxes. Yeah. And I pulled the links for those student-paced codes. In advance, I sort of planned like, what is it that I want to use here? And so I went to my Nearpod lesson library, and I'm a planner. I'm a little obsessive about it. So I have a folder here in my lesson library that's called Digital Choice Board Lessons. So if I know I'm going to be using a lesson for my choice board, I have all of those here, and I have created student-paced lessons. But here's what you're going to need to do to make it easy for you. When you choose those lessons, you're going to go to the Nearpod library. What subject do you teach?
I teach math.
Okay, so we're going to go here. This is Illinois. What grade?
6th grade. Sixth grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I could choose any of these lessons. So I'll choose this one. So I'm going to hit preview. I'm going to hit add to my lessons, showing my lessons. But what I'm going to do is click student paste here. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and open up this time. I'm going to click right here where it says 29 days remaining. I'm going to take that to the end of the school year. So whenever I want to use this lesson, I don't have to get a new code or any of that.
Okay.
I'm going to hit apply, copy that link, and then now I can come here to my slide.
How did you copy that link? Oh, this is what you're going now, to copy the link. Okay.
So I clicked right here. Let me hit cancel there. I clicked student paste.
Yeah.
And then right here where it says link, when I click link.
Oh yeah. Launch.
You see right here, it has the copy. Yep. And it copies right to my clipboard.
Yeah.
Then I'll come right here, and I could, make another one of these little boxes here. And I'll just edit that particular one and put in that code that I just got. Right there. Oh, I think I copied something else. Hold on, let me grab it over here. Copied. Come here. And then hit apply. And so now it's there. And this I created using the Google Slides add-on. So you don't have to download this or anything like that. You just use the Google Slides add-on. When you hit save and go to Nearpod, all of these links are still going to work. So there's no extra steps.
Yeah, I know how to use it just from Google Slides. Okay.
Do we have a copy of what you're showing us?
Yeah, like a video of it, so that we could just do it, the how-to part, because the first couple of times is going to be tricky.
Well, the session is being recorded. I have not made a video of a choice of how to do the choice board. I can make a video of how to do a choice board. Let me write that down. but I do have a template, Katie, that I will share with you that you can share back with them for doing the
Thank
choice
you.
board. Yeah.
Thank you.
That would be great.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions? We've got about 5 minutes, and Sarah, I know, is going to hop back on to give some final goodbyes, I believe. Katie, did you want to say anything, or anyone else have any questions? No? Everybody's good. So does that mean I accomplished my mission? Everyone's good, ready to go explore Nearpod and use it in class tomorrow? Let me go check my Collaborate board.
Do you have any videos of, like just a pile of videos or teacher professional development videos where teachers can just keep on being exposed to the different things that Nearpod does, and just sort of like, like how you can see teacher videos of teachers teaching? Do you have videos of teacher, you can go online and get Nearpod, lessons all over the place on YouTube, but I'm just wondering if there are any that Nearpod is made into like a little library that they recommend or endorse.
So the link I just dropped is our Nearpod 101 site. It's not going to be of teachers teaching, but it is going to be small tidbits of PD for all of the things you need to do to be successful in Nearpod. That's what I'm showing over here on the right-hand side. Katie, I don't know if you have any additional resources.
Yeah, Kathleen, I was just going to suggest we have a bunch of like on-demand recorded webinars that are really specialized based off of different topics that you would be interested perhaps in diving a little deeper into. So Kathleen, I can share you that. They're essentially like on-demand webinars, and they have all sorts of different topics. So those are like,
that'd be great.
Yeah, let me share that with you, and I'll post that in the chat. But in the meantime, I just posted another feedback or a link to a feedback form. We would love to just get some initial feedback from you guys based off of this session. We're going to be doing another one in 2 weeks from today that's specifically SEL focused. So I know Quine did a little SEL preview today, but if you're interested in using Nearpod, specifically focusing on SEL, we would love to have you guys back in a few weeks. So,
okay. Do you need my email so you can send that to me? Because as soon as you go, you take your chat with you.
Yeah, as long as you signed up, I have the registration, so I can actually get this to you right after. But in the meantime, I'll just send it to you right now, actually, in the chat. We have a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, and just a reminder, not only is the session being recorded and will be available on our website, but all of the resources that are being pulled into the chat, we'll include those on the follow-up email that I send on Friday. So Friday, you'll have a link to our website, the community chat space on our website where the recording will be. And then you'll also have all of the resources that have been plugged into the chat box tonight. Yeah. All of those will be in one set email, including what Katie just shared.
Yeah, just posted.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, Kathleen, if you want to click on what I just posted, that's going to show you like all of our Nearpod on-demand sessions. So you'll see like using Nearpod data to drive instruction, supporting exceptional learners, reach your English language learners. So there's a lot of different more specialized topics.
Yeah. Anything specific to math?
Oh, good question.
Yeah, then math always gets choice shrift.
I might have to dig a little deeper to pull up something for math.
Yeah.
Do you know if we have any like math-based sessions that we've done at Nearpod? I mean, I'm sure we have.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, PhET is great, but I think just teaching math generally would be great. I've been looking at the different lessons. It'd be nice to round it out a little bit more.
And Kathleen, do you know about our Desmos integration?
Yeah, I do know about that a little bit. I'm teaching 6th grade, so it's a little bit early for Desmos, but yeah.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Kathleen, I'll try and find some math resources specifically for you.
Thank you. Eureka is what I teach, and I've noticed that there's not too much Eureka in the library. You have some really great math resources, but my principal's really very insistent that we need to be teach Eureka with fidelity, which I love Eureka, so I'm not complaining, but once in a while it'd be nice to have something that uses Eureka as extension, but that's okay.
And you know what? I was actually going to say we released, because there's so many schools that use Eureka, I believe we have a new scope and sequence that we released about how the supplemental lessons align with the Eureka curriculum.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great to have that. I
just released that like a few weeks ago. Quinay, do you know if that's?
I don't know. I haven't heard that. So that is good news because I got a question in a session earlier about Eureka. So that's good news.
And this is perfect timing because I just came off of a PD right before this about how to plan for the rest of the next 10 weeks, the last 10 weeks. And, you know, I've already done all of my major concepts now with the scope and sequence. And so I can really jump around a little bit. So I'm all excited.
Kathleen, I'm gonna get you what you need, so no worries.
Oh, thank you, Katie. And I know I remind you remind me now. I was at Google Palooza. I was one of the Google Palooza speakers. Yes, so you're familiar to me that way.
Yeah, I know. That was a crazy week. It was a blur, but if you were at Google Palooza, I was
crazy.
It
was a lot of fun.
Yeah. No, happy to have you on. It looks like Cheryl just asked a question. How do you delete a saved lesson? So yeah, Quinay, I don't know if you want to share your screen or I can share my screen and she's got it covered. Okay.
Sure. And I also dropped the link in for that choice board. So when you go to your Nearpod lesson library, you're going to notice that there are 3 dots at the top of each lesson. You will just click on those.
Oh.
And click delete.
Thank you. Simple.
You're welcome. No worries.
Okay, and are you deleting because you're out of storage? Is that why?
Yes. Or soon will be. Well,
if you filled out the survey form, we're going to get you guys upgraded access.
Oh, okay. Did you send that out already? I'm sorry.
It probably wasn't clear. That feedback form, you could just indicate if you wanted like trial access, and then through that, we'll make sure that you guys are able to have like unlimited storage so that you don't have any of those issues saving lessons and having to go in and delete.
I thought we had in CPS, I thought we had certain kind of access. I can't remember. I thought our school had an account or something,
Yeah,
so I'm not sure.
What school are you at? And I can follow up with you, Cheryl.
Schurz High School.
Okay.
SCHURZ.
Yeah, so Schurz doesn't have like an official school subscription, but I'll still make sure that you have the level of access that you need to do what you need to do.
Okay.
And Quinay,
yes, I'm going to run. I'm sorry. I have a 6:30 session. I have to run, but feel free to reach out to Katie. Katie will stay as long as you all need her. But if you need anything from me, feel free to reach out to me. And I'm sorry, I have to run.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Katie, Quinay mentioned something about premium access. I'm not sure what we have at our school at Pershing Magnet. So I don't know whether.
Let me look.
And can I do that survey again or?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I just popped it back in the chat actually.
Okay, I see.
Real quick though, while Katie's looking that up, for those who are needing to hop off, I know we're past time. So Thank you all so much for coming. If you know someone who might be interested in Nearpod specifically with regard to SEL or with anything we discussed today, if it's SEL, then encourage them to sign up, register for our, like Katie said, there's a second Nearpod chat through us that's happening 2 weeks from tonight, same time. And then tonight's session obviously will be available, like I said, on our website. So anyone can access that once the link is up. I'll send you a follow-up email on Friday, and it'll include a survey from CFE. So it's a different survey than the one that Katie shared, but it's a survey from us, and we really appreciate it if you can complete that. It helps us just continue with integrity and fidelity and ensure that we're giving you all what you need. So Katie will stay on, it sounds like, for a little bit, as will I, but I'm just going to shut my video off. But thank you again so much for coming, and have great nights.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I got all these links. So there was one for community chat, one for the form, one for the choice board template.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of links, and we'll make sure that we get you guys that follow-up email, like Sarah mentioned.
Okay, as long as you do that, because I'm on 2 devices. I'm using my Chromebook to follow along, and I'm going
to make sure that I save the chat too, so whatever we send you guys, you're going to get access to after. Yeah.
Okay, I got to go too, so.
That's okay. I know it's already 5:35, and Sarah was Wednesday as is. So if you have to hop off, no worries at all. But thank you guys again so much. And please let us know if there's anything that we can do to support from now until the rest of the year. And, you know.
So Katie, will the email be coming from you specifically or Nearpod or?
Sarah, I think, will the email be coming from CFE?
Yeah, I'll be sending it. So
Okay.
after all of our chats, I send them. So yep, so it'll be coming from me. But then we have access to Katie. So if you have specific questions and you want to connect with her, she's obviously very open and happy to do so.
Okay, I just want to make sure because I look out for stuff and you get so many emails, you know, about things and just. All right, take care.
And Sarah, I wanted to thank you, Sarah, so much for your work at CFE and everything you're doing. Yeah, a couple years ago, I was a recipient of one of your grants, your small grants at Little Village, doing some elementary math education with some colleagues. So yeah. So
well, thank you for saying that. We're so happy you were here tonight and so
thank you
for participating.
It's really great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see everyone later. Katie, thank you so much.
Okay, bye. And Katie, I just wanted to thank you so much for following up. I was wondering, is this your only job, or do you also teach somewhere in CPS or somewhere?
Oh no, this is my only job.
Oh, thank goodness, because I was going to say.
No, this is my only job. No, I'm based in Chicago, so I primarily and solely work with CPS schools. So this is my full-time job. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's so great. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Kathleen. I'll talk to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.